With the release of Ancient Origins, it's not a surprise that there are some stage ones that are pretty good, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at some stage 1 ideas with the 3 evolutions that we got in the brand new set. Vaporeon, uh, I don't know why I skipped that, but Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon, the stage 1s that give your stage 1 Pokemon a water, lightning, and fire type to handle stuff like Landos, Donphans, Sceptiles, Mega Rays, and whatnot. So in this video, we're going to be looking at some stage 1 ideas that would combo pretty well with these evolutions. So yeah, let's get right into the video. So to start it off, we have Swellow. Swellow, it's not that great on paper. I mean, 3 for 50 is just an atrocious attack. But it does have this ability in Ancient Trait where if you take a knockout with this thing, you take one more prize card. So there are maybe situations where this thing could do 100 or it can do 140 damage or even 160 to like a Lando or something. It may not knock them out, but it'll still do a lot of damage to them. And plus, you're taking 2 prizes for knocking something out. That's why Swellow might actually be a pretty good card to use. Next up is Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff, I think this card is a little underrated. I mean, it's not that great, but it's pretty interesting. Its attack, Hocus Pocus, does, 3 for 60, and then it says the defending Pokemon cannot attack during your opponent's next turn. So, basically what this card does is 3 for 60 with a Bangle that does 3 for 90. But you can change this Wigglytuff into a fire, water, and lightning type, and you can hit some stuff for weakness. I don't know how good this card would be, but it's something interesting to take a look at. Next up is Dugtrio. This one, a lot of people think is going to be good. Its attack, Earthquake, is for 1 fighting energy. It does 60, and then 10 to each bench. Now, this is great because you can use it with the Flareon, Leafeon, Jolteon combo, with a Silver Bangle, and knock out some stuff. So, definitely an interesting card. I don't know if Dugtrio works or not, though. Next up is Gliscor. This card isn't that great either, but its attack submission hold could work with, like, hammers and Crawdaunt and Headringer. Basically, it does 1 for 20. Your opponent can attach energy from his hand with Strong Energy, Fight Stadium, Silver Bangle, and stuff like that. Well, this thing with the evolutions could actually be a decent attacker. I don't know how well it would work, but it's something decent to take a look at. Next up is Hariyama. I think this card is a very good card in my opinion. 120 HP may not be a lot. Well, I can change it with a Focus Sash. Thick Fat. Any fire and water damage done to this thing is reduced by 30. That's actually pretty strong. And then Rocket Slap does 3 for 80 damage, which is a lot of damage. With a Muscle Band, that goes from 3 to 90. Or 3, what am I saying? With a Muscle Band, that goes for 3 for 100, and then with the Silver Bangle, it goes for 3 for 110. With the evolutions, you're going to be one-shot and stuff. This card could be interesting when the rotation hits. Next is Medicham. You may not even need to use Yoga Kick. You can always use Meditite's attack Beat with Shrine of Memories, but Yoga Kick could work well with those evolutions, because now you're going to have even more weaknesses to cover, and it might actually just be an interesting card. It might make Medicham more playable. Next is Donphan. This card is probably the most obvious of them all, apart from some others. Donphan has the attack Spinning Turn. Does 1 for 40, Muscle Band, Strong Energy, you get the point. Well, with the evolutions, you're going to be spinning turning for a lot more. Apparently, this deck won or took 3rd place over in Japan. So, I mean, if you're looking into it, you can try the Donphan evolutions deck. Next up is Tyrantrum. I don't think this is the best one because it's already going to be knocking stuff out in one hit regardless of their type. But chew up, if it's like a metal type, you can do 60 to them, and then with the evolution Flareon, you can do like 90. I don't know. It could be something decent. Take out Aegislash with like Silent Lab if it has like a Silver Bangle on it, or not a DCE. So Tyrantrum isn't that bad of a card either to look at. Next is Espeon. It does 1 for 40, and then it does 40 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, but it applies weakness and resistance. So this means if you get those evolutions in play, you can actually hit like stuff on the bench for weakness. You can do like 80 damage to like a bench Shaman with Jolteon in play. Think of how cool that would be. So, Espeon could be something interesting to take a look at. Sylveon is next. I already did a video on this thing, which I don't know why I got so much hate, but whatever. Sylveon has the attack Curly Ribbon. For 1 fairy energy, does 30, then you gotta move their energy. This is a great disruption card. So with the Eevelutions, you can at least have some kind of thing that hits for weakness, so, you know, this thing has a better chance of doing some work. So, again, something interesting to look at. Next is Leafeon. This is another really obvious choice. Its attack, Energy Crush, is a very powerful attack. 1 energy, it does 20 times the amount of energy for each. What am I saying? 20 times. It is 20 times the amount of damage for each energy in your opponent's field. So you can do a lot of damage, a lot with Energy Crush. You can take a lot of one-hit knockouts, and with the type change, this could be doing even more damage. Next is Flareon. This is another obvious one. Vengeance is a very strong attack. I still think Flareon is better than Vespiquen, by the way, but this would work with the Eevelutions, obviously, because you have weaknesses to hit. So again, another interesting card to look at. Next is Pyroar. Pyroar has the ability Intimidating Mane, which already makes it sort of playable, but with Mega Evolutions and Archies and Polion, this card isn't that playable. But with the Eevelutions, you can actually Scorching Fang for knockouts, just alone with the Scorching Fang, and you can factor in... Oh, pardon me, something in my throat. You can factor in Muscle Band and Silver Bangle. Pyroar could actually be a pretty decent card. Who knows? I just think that the fact that there are more Stage 1s out right now, like Megas and stuff, I don't think Pyroar is going to see play. Next is Vespiquen. The most obvious partner. Bee Gathering is a very strong attack. Same thing as Flareon's Vengeance. We already talked about that. I already made a video on this, so we'll skip that. Next is Exeggutor. I don't know if this would work or not, but you could use Exeggutor to blockade them. And if you have something to hit for weakness, hey man, it makes even more disruption. So Exeggutor with the Eevelutions could be something interesting to try out. You never know. If you can blockade for something for weakness, that would hurt your opponent even more. Next is Shedinja. This card, this could work well. You know, Hopeless Screen does 50 damage for each damage on this. You play, like, Floettes. You can play an Expanded with, like, Giant Cape. Get 2 damage counters on this thing. Bam, you're going to be doing 100 damage. Muscle Bam, 1, that's 240. And then, obviously, factor in the Eevelutions. You can knock stuff out in 1 hit. So, I honestly think this could work well with, like, Expanded or something. I might actually do that after. I'm going to make an expanded deck after and try that out. Next is Yanmega. I don't think this card is too good. Maybe with like Bronzong down the road. Its attack Surprise Bite, or Surprise Strike, sorry, does 50. And if it was on your bench, it does 100. With the Eevelution type change, it's going to do even more damage. And, you know, with Muscle Band and Silver Bangle, it's going to hit stuff for weakness. This could be an interesting tech card. You never know. Next is Raichu, the second most obvious choice for this kind of a strategy. Circle Circuit is a very strong attack with Skyfield. When you factor in the Eevelutions, it's doing even more work. You don't even need to use Skyfield half the time then. Raichu is going to be very good with those Eevelutions, I'm sure. Next is Excadrill. Another card I think has potential, but not a lot of potential. Maclaw doesn't even knock stuff out 1 hit half the time because it doesn't do enough damage. But when you type in the type change, it could be useful. You know, Excadrill is a pretty interesting card, and you never know. Next is Scizor. This card's rotating soon, but it's interesting. Its attack Steel Slash is the same thing of Hippowdon's Resistance Desert, kind of. So Steel Slash is a very good attack. So you never know. You know, Scizor could work well with that type change. You can do a little more extra damage, which most of the time, you know, you'll want to do. Next up is Toxicroak. Now, this card could actually be pretty funny in, like, Vespiquen or something. For a single energy, you do 90 damage, right? But when you have the Eevelutions in play, you can actually hit something for that weakness and just revenge them for a knockout. Because you can hit them for weakness and then do 180 to them. So this could be a funny card to play in maybe Vespiquen or something like that. I think Toxicroak could be a decent card. Revenge is a pretty interesting attack. Next up is Drifblim. Shadow Steel is an interesting attack because it does 50 times the amount of damage for each energy, special energy in your opponent's discard pile. You can build a deck around like Team Flare Gun, Zerosic, and Hammers, which probably would drive me crazy, but you could do that, and then if they play a lot of special energies, you can just start hitting them for weaknesses. If they get 2 in their discard pile, bing, bang, boom. So Drifblim could be an interesting card. You can attack with no energy, too, with Dimension Valley in play. Next up is Golurk. Another card that might see a lot more play. Superpower is good, but the fact that it can double its type to... this thing can have 5 types at once. It can be water type, it can be fire type, lightning type, psychic type, and fighting type. And then superpower does a lot of damage. It can do 120, which can one-shot those things that it hits for its weakness. So Golurk might actually be a pretty, cool tryout. Next is Lampen. I don't think this would work, but we do have its attack, Night March. It does 20 times the amount of damage for each, Pokemon with Dimension Valley. That's just 2 energies. I don't think this would work. It could be like a funny combo. You can be like, oh, I'm just going to throw these Joltix and Pumpkaboo in. I got the Leafeon Flareon and play. I'm going to hit you with a Lampent for weakness. It could be a funny idea. I doubt it would do anything, but it would still be a funny thing to try out. Next up, I think this is the last one, right? No, we got 2 more. Next is Trevenant. We got its attack, Forest Curse, its ability Forest Curse, which basically, if this thing is in play, your opponent can't play active Pokemon. That made no sense. Sorry guys, I'm stumbling on my words. If this thing is your active, your opponent can't play item cards, which is a massive ability to do. And with Tree Slam, with a Silver Bangle and that weakness, you can hit stuff for weakness, putting a lot of pressure on your opponent. Trevenant could be an interesting card. Next is Starmie. If this Pokemon and your opponent's active Pokemon has the same amount of energy, it does 60, so it would do 70. Muscle Band would go to 90. With a Silver Mangle, you could do 100. You can hit stuff for weakness. So this card could be like a cool replacement for like Kecleon, maybe. I don't know. It's interesting though. And then the last stage 1 I thought of here is Gyarados. This is another card that might actually work. This thing can have 2 tools, so you can play 2 Muscle Bands or 2 Silver Bangles if you even want to go that route. For Retaliation, does 30 plus 30 more damage for each damage counter on your bench Magikarp. Team Magma's Secret Base makes that work. This card could actually be a competitive card. You never know. So it's an interesting card to look at. So those are all the stage 1s that I think could work really well with the 3 Eevelutions. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this was somewhat informative to you guys, and I hope you guys try out some of these stage 1s with the Eevelutions. So yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe too if you are new. I upload PTCGO videos. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on another video. Goodbye.